Hello friends, and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm making a super simple recipe for Basque cheesecake. So Basque cheesecake is from the Basque region, which is in northern Spain. It is super simple. There's no crust, so it's literally just cream cheese, eggs, and sugar. There's a tiny bit of flour in it, but according to the recipe I read, that is even optional. So if you are gluten-free, you don't necessarily have to put the flour in if you don't want to. I'm just going to go through the ingredients with you, show you kind of how to put the thing together. Then I'm going to pop it in the oven, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like when it's done. It's a very different style of cheesecake because it's also sometimes called a burnt cheesecake because the outside or the top layer of it gets quite brown. And don't worry about that. That's the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to look kind of burnt on the outside. So let me just show you what I have here in the way of ingredients. In my bowl, I have 3 packages of cream cheese. I'm going to stop here for a second and say that I had to make some adjustments because I'm using a smaller springform pan than is called for in the recipe. It called for one that was like 25 centimeters. Mine is only I think 16 centimeters. So I did a little baker's math, and you'll have to check the Substack because that has all the information on how I did my calculations. So I had to reduce the amount of all the ingredients in order to fit the smaller size pan, which means that everything is reduced from the original recipe. In the Substack will also be a link to the original recipe that I got this from. So I need 3 packages of cream cheese. It actually, when I weighed it all out, it was like maybe 1 tablespoon less than 3 packages. And I'm like, I'm just going to put 3 packages in. I don't think an extra tablespoon of cream cheese is going to make that big of a difference. So cream cheese. We also, and I've cut it into, I'm going to show it to the other camera here. I've cut it into smaller pieces, like broken it up, because we want it to be at room temperature and we want it to be really nice and soft. So that is cut into very small pieces. I have here some heavy cream, and it's about 2/3 of a cup, which is 143 milliliters. So 3 packages is supposed to be 750 grams, but when I measured out each of the packages, it was just shy of 250. It was like around 240 to 245, which is a little bit of a ripoff if you ask me. Anyway, so there's just shy of 750 grams of cream cheese in here, which is 3 packages. Here it is 143 milliliters of cream, which is about 2/3 of a cup. I have 5 eggs, 5 large eggs. I have 6 grams of flour. So like talk about like hardly any flour. 6 grams is 2 teaspoons. So 2 teaspoons of flour. The other thing I have, I'm just going to move this out of the way here. The other thing I have, this is the springform pan that I'm going to bake this in. So I'm just going to show you here if you're not familiar with a springform pan. So it is round. It looks like this. This is a 6-inch, or I think it's 16 centimeters. I'll have to measure it out again. But when you pop open the side, the bottom comes out, and it makes it a lot easier to remove cakes and especially cheesecakes and things like that. So what you have to do with this, though, because the batter that's going into this is pretty liquid, is to put a piece of parchment paper in here and try and fit it in as well as you can. Like I've done all the work here to fit it in so that all the creases and everything, like don't worry if there's creases on the side, that doesn't matter. But you want it to wrap around and to come out the sides. So then that way, if you don't have a springform pan, it makes it easier to just literally lift it out. But it also helps just to like keep the cake in from overflowing and all that kind of stuff. So that is the springform pan. The way that I fit it in here was I actually used this bowl, which was the perfect size, the one that's got my eggs in it, and it fits right in, and that squished it down and made it kind of conform to the inside of my tin. So that's a strategy that you can use for that. So there we go. So like literally these are, oh, and then the sugar. There's 286 grams of sugar, which is about 1¼ cups, but it's usually best if you measure it out yourself, like weigh it out yourself. So yeah, that's it. Those are all the ingredients to the recipe. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start beating my cream cheese and add all these other ingredients. The original recipe that I followed, there were 2 recipes I was looking at, and they had slightly different methods. I'm going to beat the cream cheese until it's nice and soft. Then I'm going to add the sugar, and I'm going to continue beating it until it's, again, nice and soft and fluffy and well contained. Then I'm going to add the eggs one at a time, and then at the very end I'm going to sprinkle the flour over top and just fold it in. I mean, there's so little flour that it's almost like, why we bother doing that? Oh, and the cream as well will go in. So I don't need to show you all of those things, but I will show you what it kind of looks like at the end. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. Okay, so I finished beating, and I've got my batter here, which hopefully you can see on the other camera, is nice and smooth. We don't want to have any lumps at all. The last thing I'm going to add to this is 2 teaspoons of flour. So I'm just going to sprinkle that over the top. I'm told it just helps with texture. I can't say that I understand the chemistry behind it. And then I'm just going to fold that in. Don't really need to beat it anymore. So I'm just folding in the flour. And now I'm going to pour it into my prepared pan. I may have too much in here, so I'm going to kind of judge it. I'm going to probably bring it up about 3/4. So what happens with this when it bakes, because of the eggs, it's going to puff up. But then when I take it out of the oven, it's going to sink back down again. So if it puffs up, and that's the other reason for having this paper on the side, is that it helps if it puffs up above the edge of the pan, then I don't have to worry about it spilling over because the paper will contain it. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to pour this in. And I'm about, I don't know, 1 centimeter, so like 1/2 inch or so from the edge. You can probably see it over here on this camera. And I still have quite a bit of filling left. I probably have like 2 cups maybe of filling. So I might have to do something with this after, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. So this goes into the oven. The oven is preheated to 410 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 210 Celsius. And it's going to go in. I'm going to check it after 40 minutes, and then we'll see kind of where it is. And if it needs to go in for a little bit longer, then it will. Don't worry if it gets super brown, because that's what it's supposed to do. So anyway, into the oven this goes, and I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so here's what I decided to do with the leftover batter. I have 2 ramekins, and I've fitted them with parchment paper because these aren't spring form. So the only way to be able to get the cheesecake out will be to do it in by pulling it out of the paper. This is a total experiment. I have no idea whether it's going to work, but we'll figure it out together. So I'm just going to pour some of the batter into this one. And I'll pour the rest of the batter into this one. And there we go. It's pretty much even. And these obviously won't take as long as the larger one. So the larger one has been in for all of 3 minutes so far. So I'm going to pop these in now, and hopefully they'll kind of be done around the same time, or at least I'll check on them around the same time. Okay, so I've taken one of the little ones out of the oven, and it's already started to deflate a little bit. And it's nice and brown on top. It's not really, I wouldn't call it burnt. I think the ones that are in there, I'm going to leave them in a little bit longer. But you can see it's already started. It was kind of puffy when I first took it out of the oven, and now it's kind of fallen down. Actually, let me grab the other one, and you can see how puffy it is when it comes. And see, nice and brown on top. It's not fully burnt. If I wanted it to be really burnt, I would probably put the broiler on it in order to give it that really, really burnt. But I think this is sufficiently brown for my taste. But look, it's already starting. You can probably see in the other camera that it's already starting to go down. These have to go in the fridge, and then I will record another video tomorrow showing you what they look like after they've cooled. It's going to be a lovely velvety texture inside. You can serve it with fruit. You can put a sauce on it. You can eat it just plain. It's entirely up to you. So we will come back tomorrow and I'll show you what the finished product looks like. Okay, I'm back for just a second. I wanted to show you what the big one looked like. So again, you can see it's puffed up quite a bit, but it's already starting to sink in the middle, which is fine. That's normal what it's going to do. So it's going to kind of go like this in the middle and then back up the sides again. And you'll notice that a lot more tomorrow once it's chilled, and we can see what it looks like when we take a cut into it. So I promise I will be back tomorrow, but not tomorrow for you. You know what I mean. Okay, as promised, I'm back. It's now the next day, and it's lovely and sunny instead of gross and rainy like it was yesterday. And I have two different Basque cheesecakes to show you how they turned out. So first I'll show you the little mini one. And this is the little mini one. I'll do some close up. I don't have my other camera going today because this is going to be very short. So here we go. It literally just lifts out of the ramekin, just like that. So this is actually kind of cool. I find this might be a little bit big for a single serving. You could maybe cut it in half because it's quite rich. So we're literally just peeling back the paper. It did kind of stick to the paper a little bit. And there is our cheesecake. Okay, so there's one version of the cheesecake. It's a little bit messy. So yeah, I don't know that I would do it in the little ramekin because it kind of fell apart a little bit, but it's going to taste fantastic. So let me just move that off so that I can show you the next one. So here we have the larger one, and this will apply whether you use a larger 10-inch springform pan or this 6-inch springform pan. So I'm just going to pop it open just like that, and then this part falls off like that. We've still got the base attached here and the paper. Actually, I can still leave that on there. And I'm just going to open this up like that so you can see. Look at those, and I have a still photo as well that I'll show you, but look at that. Look at the beautiful, it's nice and brown all around the edges, which I think comes from the fact that this is metal and a dark metal as opposed to the ramekin. I mean, there is a little bit of browning on the sides of the one with the ramekin, but not quite as much as this one. And in the Substack post, which you're probably maybe reading right now, I talk a little bit about baking temperature and length of time baking. So this was baked at 410 Fahrenheit or 210 Celsius. I think it probably would have turned out browner and blacker and more burnt like a traditional Basque cheesecake if I had done it at 425 and baked it for the same amount of time. Because what I was going for was a nice creamy center as opposed to like a hard, dense center. Anyway, so those are just a few tips just based on the experience that I recently had. The other thing, when I go to cut this, I want to use a long knife. This knife has been sitting in hot water, so I want to make sure that, because it makes it easier to cut if it's a nice hot knife. But I do want to rinse it off. I don't want it to be wet. I want it to be hot, but not wet. And here we go, cutting into the cheesecake. And then we dip it again and wipe it off again. And because this cheesecake is so rich, you really only need a very small piece. So here we go. There's my piece of cheesecake, small piece of cheesecake. Oh, you might want to go with a little bit more. And I'm going to throw some berries. These blackberries were on sale yesterday, so I would throw some berries on there. So there we go. Just clean that up a little bit. And there is our cheesecake, our Basque cheesecake. Look at that. Look at that creamy center. Like, does that not look fantastic? I can't wait to try this. And if you're one of my lucky Run Pub people, this might be there on Wednesday. So look out for that. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me for this episode, Talk About Basque Cheesecake. And if you have any requests for future cheesecakes or future recipes, please do let me know, and I will source something out for you and post it. So thanks again for joining me.